Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast from the host Imperial Dane, featuring today a 2 versus 2 on Rezhev. Yes, indeed. No, not Rezhev, but Pripyat. God damn it! I wish it was Rezhev, but no, it's Pripyat. A 2 versus 2 here. Another submission for the Smoking Sunday challenge. Not one of the better ones, but still had some good things to point out. So Dan, too fast for you, and your Joe Kaman, or Joe Kaman, bloody hell, we'll just call him Joe. Fighting for the Germans, fighting for the 111th Panzer Brigade, going up against Madass and Reignofdarkness of the 16th Tank Corps, rolling out against each other right here in the more rivery aspect of Pripyat. MG42 already on the way there. So far all good, although going quickly for a special arrive command is not necessarily always the good thing. Of course that causes a delay in seizing territory, thus laying more pressure at least on Reignofdarkness actually gain some territory and do some damage. We quickly see some conscripts forming up. They're also having units stand about. Doing nothing is really a good idea either. Usually the trick is you build the building, and while you're doing that, you then open to tactical map, hold down shift, and then you queue down a series of orders. I mean, that's a delay there that could easily have been used for securing points earlier. So already there are some checks, and again, units standing about, in particular within the first few minutes, is not really something that should be happening, at least not, particularly not on these sort of time spaces. It keeps on happening right here for Madass, so clearly he's already, struggling to keep up things going within the first few minutes. Already a sign here that perhaps we're not dealing with the most sharpest of players, which of course is quite fine, but still it's something that should really be immediately worked upon and rectified. Again, having conscripts standing out there for pretty much half a minute, doing nothing, not taking a point, anything at all, is not good at all, good sirs. And again, we sort of see the same here, a rather slow progressive advance here from Reignofdarkness. We do see the Germans are at least much swifter in the advance, actually getting anything going. Grenadiers MG42 here for Dan, as Joe is having more regular Grenadiers, although it looks like an MG42 is arriving very much well. No, he's actually getting a lot of Grenadiers. Not a single MG42 for him. Another Pioneer squad here for Dan, interestingly enough. In fact, looks like he's already taking up, so looks like Joe is going to do most of the fighting while Dan takes up and gets something bigger. Grenadiers here pulling back in face of Soviet might, but still, that's all currently Madass has. If he loses this, of course, that's going to be pretty much all of this gone. Looks like he's finally getting something. We are seeing penal troops. This looks like Madass is going to be supplying the penal troops, the Strafniki. Grenadiers here. And here, of course, Joe is rather spreading out his Grenadiers, rather having them working together and thus gaining some sort of local advantage, which could prove to be a bit dangerous. It looks like Madass is ignoring the sentence heading south, where there won't be as much resistance, although there can still be an MG42 from Dan to quickly put a stop to any tomfoolery. Grenadiers providing fire support. No greater push though from Joe towards the north, for example, either. A bit disappointing. Grenadiers lost, might want to shift cover. Again, cover is directional, meaning if you're standing on the wrong side, there's nothing between you and the bullets, and thus you gain no benefits. Rive Grenadier doing a bit of damage. Penal troops moving in with a not submachine guns, but semi-automatic rifles. Grenadiers upgraded with a light machine gun. Grenadiers forced away down to one man. MG42 moving in to block the advance of the Soviets. These Grenadiers just need to retreat. Now you're also seeing Soviet troops retreating in return. Reignofdarkness looks like he might be building something now. MG42 setting up, it might be too late. But there we go, penal troops getting caught. They have been upgraded with a flamethrower already. One of them goes down. Arrested for being a mime. Vasily had been transferred to the Strafniki and obviously didn't survive. Grenadiers sneaking up behind here, a bit of a bold plan from Joe, in particular considering he's apparently having no consideration for a retreat path, which could prove to be very, very not beneficial. We are seeing the light to make a nice company going up there, but nothing else going on. We're seeing Joe now getting an MG42. And what should come out of here should be Panzer Grenadiers. A scout car to be upgraded, half track, whatever. Apparently he's building a bunker or cache. Apparently he's building caches now, securing additional resources. Grenadier need to retreat, although they have done nicely in cutting off the fuel for the Soviets. We also note here scout car, but again, the movements and overall behavior of Madass is very much ponderous, and again, I'm pretty sure he's floating a ton of manpower at the moment, which could have been spent towards caches as well, at least, if he's going to get more units. Same can be said for Reignofdarkness. Again, there's not a lot of units, thus I'm pretty sure there's a lot of manpower being floated. Scout car charging in here. Not very, how should one say this, graceful at all, just driving it up, making it a very easy target. He hasn't even upgraded his combat engineers, so this was actually pretty poorly thought out by Madass, and he's in fact just charging straight into heavy machine gun fire from Joe. Several light machine gun support by heavy machine gun. Overall, a pretty poorly conceived assault. And as you can see, it's being sufficiently punished, although Joe is forgetting about the Grenadier squad up here, which gets pretty much executed, so not so well handling there. But Joe, again, don't spread your troops out further than you can actually manage them, is a good bit of advice. Man is getting a sniper team. Grenadiers might want to pull back.
We claimed it for the fatherland.
Sniper sneaking up, but careful, careful. There's a lot of light machine guns which can do a lot of damage to snipers if they're caught in the line of fire, and there we go. One down. This bit of area is still retained, but that's largely because Joe is more focused here on even, you know, slightly doing something properly up to them there. And Dan is just basically doing nothing. He's just fortifying the south, but he's otherwise not really applying any pressure. Not really doing much. He's just building fuel caches, mining the south. But again, very passive play from either player, in particular one who pretty much does most of the work, while the other one either builds up resources, or in the case of Madass, apparently does nothing. Now he's going for a support weapon company, whereas Reignofdarkness is moving straight on to the mechanized armor company. But again, lots of floating on resources there, I'd imagine. Actually, time to pop over to Joe, who's definitely not floating resources, definitely has a presence. Getting more machine guns, he's getting a mortar. All that at the same time, of course, that rather puts him in the field of area where he has absolutely nothing to stop an enemy armoured assault, because he's got no anti-tank guns. We do, of course, see a light mechanized company up. Half-track on the way. Scout car on the way. And we see here that Madass is finally shifting towards the south, but now, of course, it's going to be too late. There's going to be fortifications, mines, everything. Gunners here, though, from Dan, needs to get out of there. They're getting caught in a lot of fire. Penal troops should not be underestimated. Some of the snipers, come on, Dan, unit preservation. Ach du Lieber, these Grenadiers were just massacred. Pointless move there from Dan. He should have retreated again. Unit preservation matters. You should not just let your units die like that. I mean, this is the sort of situation where you see one country squad, one penal battalion, and of course one scout sniper squad. You pretty much go retreat with your single Grenadier squad caught in negative cover, because again, negative cover means more damage, easier to hit. So really a lot of mistakes there in one just committed by Dan. Scout car going to move up, hopefully support the MD-42, otherwise that's now going to clear it out. Small assault force moving north, it seems. Mining the flank approaches, good, but still no real great movement from Joe, who's taking it pretty slow. MD cleared out. Dan should have retreated again. Dan does not seem awfully strong on the whole unit preservation business, getting another penal battalion. Again, very slow play. A bit loose. And we are noting 3 caches now up for Dan. At least he's spending his resources towards something that helps them both, which is then going to be the advantage of Joe as well. Scout clear doing a bit of damage. Reignofdarkness apparently also getting his own penal battalions. Apparently the 16th Tank Corps is being heavily supported by them. Heavy mortar on the way, Guards infantry as well. Reignofdarkness apparently getting nothing so far from the mechanized company, instead just relying on Guard smoke. The Doctrine, obviously. As you know, the Doctrine can supply with Guards infantry and of course heavy mortars. Another push here, doing a bit better. Joe pulling up behind the house, although Heinz is peeking out a bit. Get out of there, Heinz. And Heinz wouldn't listen. Mortar popping down smoke, which would in fact force the snipers to get closer, or at least allow the infantry to get out of there. Question is, what will Joe do with the smoke? And again, good to see smoke. again neutralises the long range of the sniper, for example. So well done there, Joe. Though of course, if that was the intention, if not, well, less well done. Scout car now moving in again. I'm not entirely sure what Dan is hoping to achieve with this scout car right there, rolling it straight into enemy fire. In fact, seems to force retreat, but there's a field gun out. Scout car moving up there again, also exposed himself to a lot of fire. He now sees the Guardian infantry, anti-tank rifles, sandbag positions up, heavy mortar setting out. How shall Joe react to this? He's finding way at the troops. He will need to launch an assault on this position now that the heavy mortar is there. It will be able to fire down on his positions here. Come on, Joe, snap out of it and attack. Angreifen. Den Name des Vaterlandes. Popping out to Madass, who is in fact floating a bit of resources there. He's not got an awfully large army, though he does have a field gun which knocked out the scout car. He's getting a mortar now, and now he's sending in the field gun on its own. You should not be sending in a field gun on its own. Again, it should be supporting an assault, not being the assault. But there we go, bombarding the fascist foe. Not really achieving much. Seeing Reignofdarkness being held down there a bit in the north. Mortar rhyming. Infantry following up, but again, mortar, and there we go, smoke down. Again, negating the range, forcing them to get closer, and thus close range of the machine guns of the Germans. So of course that also works, and of course also within the range of rifle grenades if necessary, and mortar range of course. So overall, nice use of smoke there, nice use of smoke, but the grenades again should have been retreated again. Unit preservation, know when to hold your crown, know when to retreat. As has been sung, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. MG42 down there again, the heavy mortar proving quite lethal. And of course in heavy cover it's going to be a bit of a nasty position to assault. But again, Joe really hasn't been doing much to even try and reduce this position on the hill. Now currently bombarding his position, missing an additional mortar out from Joe.
Yes, comrade.
And in fact his position is getting heavily mortared, whereas Stan is not really getting pressured at all. In fact, he's got a tank, but he's not utilising it to support his teammate. Again, Dan is pretty much playing his own game at the moment. As part of the Panzer Brigade, of course, Panzer Brigades would have had lack of training, and of course that sometimes also affects, unit coordination, so I suppose in that sense it's accurate. But still would be nice to see a move, and of course this Panzer Brigade 110 would have been part of the second series of Panzer Brigades, which meant they didn't have quite the fancy equipment of the previous one, but they did have more infantry. Position here getting mortared, and mortar in fact cleared out. Again, Joe not really leading much of an assault, playing very passively,
Awaiting command.
which is making him easy targets for the enemy mortar. And Dan seems to be running around in circles at the moment. MG cleared out. Russian mortars definitely seem to be enjoying a bit higher amount of accuracy compared to German ones, but they do have less scatter for some reason than the German ones. And another mortar down. We do see a bit of smoke being popped down, but again I'm not entirely sure what that would do. Again, it won't stop the mortar from firing. Many indirect fire weapons, for example, are not going to be affected by the smoke if their opponent decides to fire into the area nonetheless. So right now Joe is in fact needlessly losing a lot of men, a lot of equipment, because again he had one shot mortar, heavy mortar, and not really lead a full-on assault with now the flamethrower half-tank he has. I mean, Joe is way too passive, but then again both sides are way too passive. Again, generally way to winning can be used to actually be aggressive. S-mines going off there, stopping the assault of the troops here. 3 penal squads, flamethrower half-tank rushing in. Bold, looks like the field gun in fact has been lost for Madass, interestingly enough. Possibly lost to the S-mines by the looks of things, or a mortar round. I'm not sure why he's actually pulling back. He must be worried that Madass has recruited the field gun, which of course he hasn't. Again, you should always also try to recruit your own equipment or destroy it if you're not. You don't benefit yourself by leaving machine guns and mortars hanging around for the enemy to capture. In fact, that's what happened here. Reignofdarkness showed a bit of initiative, secured himself a German machine gun gewehr. SU-85 now up, so that's definitely going to cause some problems. But again, looks like we are seeing that Dan Too Fast is getting ready for an assault, which is about damn time. Not damn time, but damn time. Leading with the Ostwind, generally you'd want a Panzer IV to lead the assault, not a support vehicle, but there we go, charging into Soviet positions. Causing havoc, destruction, death and woe as the armour leads the way. So finally a bit of movement there from Dan, a bit of initiative, as Joe seems to be completely, I don't know what exactly, just seems to have lost all will to fight or move. And again, Reignofdarkness is floating so much manpower. He could be getting a lot of things, but he's not. And they've not built a single fuel cache. I mean, he's starving for fuel. Build fuel caches, man. Don't just float that much manpower. That's achieving nothing. Good lord. Now it looks like we are going to see Dan trying to flank the German Soviet positions here, which is a bit of a bold move since he's doing it without infantry support. And Joe's not really taking part. In fact, he's not checked up at all. So this could actually end up a bit poorly, since the guards riflemen could easily button down the Panzer IV, which would rather mean this assault would largely fail. We do see a mortar setting up. And there we go, moving in, H-85 turning. So far, no shots doing any damage, and now he's actually pulling back. Don't do that, not in front of the H-85. You should have tried to flank. Instead, he's actually locking up in front of the Panzer, the H-85, which is where it's strongest. You should not just park up in front of an H-85 like that. Absolutely insanity right there from Dan. Getting stuck in the negative cover in the water here. Not good either. Assault going in here, but suffering losses. And we're just noting here that Madass is displaying an inability to even spread, and of course blobs up, which of course will make him an easier target as well if a few rifle grenades were to fly in. But a T-34's arrived, and of course we note here, no anti-tank defense, as we see Joe's gotten himself an officer, which is great, but still no anti-tank whatsoever, leaving it to the Panzer IV. He hasn't even recruited a field gun. So many flaws, so many bad ideas. We're seeing smoke here being called in, seemingly a bit needlessly. Troops here need to retreat. Although of course this might cover the retreat, of course in that sense it could work out, but still. Panzer IV moving in. Officer having inspired a few nearby troops, getting the field gun operational. Panzer IV here needs to be careful, exposing the rear to the T-34. And there we go, getting it rammed. That could have gone a lot better. Mortars firing away. Looks like we're seeing a full retreat right there from Madass. As well, Reignofdarkness seems very much content with just holding the hill right here, doing nothing else, leaving his teammates pretty much trying to do anything else. And we do actually see that the two German players are right here coordinating, so not really sensible work here by his teammate, leaving Madass, despite all of his flaws, to fight 2 versus 1. More smoke popping down. Not entirely sure what he's intending to achieve there with it. Looks like the Panzer IV has been immobilized. I don't even think it had, but he refused to pull it back. What on earth was that all about then? Half-track not being repaired. Why on earth Joe is not repairing his vehicles either is beyond me. I mean, Joe is doing a lot of odd things, although it looks like he's now moving on to the heavy Panzer Corps, but still a lot of flaws, a lot of bad mistakes. And there we go, we're seeing the officer calling in a huge smoke barrage, completely obfuscating the area, forcing the infantry to get close, but there's nothing to actually damage them when they're moving in closer. What are you doing, Joe? That was a waste of munitions. That really didn't achieve much, good lord. I mean, don't call in smoke just because you can. And repair your half-tracks.
Fresh guards troops are standing by.
Field gun firing into the mess, causing another full-on retreat from Madass, who seems content on conducting human wave assaults. Another heavy mortar, another guard squad still floating out of fuel. Now building a Tank Battalion Command. Still no attempt at using some of the manpower towards fuel caches. Clearly a failure in strategy right there from Reign of Madness. Though of course also on the behalf of Madass. But he's still doing a bit more than his teammate at the moment. Surprisingly. Popping back to Dan in time for the mid-game analysis. Currently the Germans are rather holding most of the map. We're seeing Festung support here from Dan. Support of the Festung. Setting up a howitzer, the leichte Feldhaubitzen. Lighter German howitzers, that of course was the schwerer 15 centimeter howitzer. Blah, tongue got a bit messed up. Of course the Germans also had some lighter howitzers or infantry guns for closer support, where they had one for 75mm and one for 15 centimeters as well. Though sadly we don't see those in the game. I would love to see them in the game, at least the self-propelled version, the Grille. Anyways, sending that howitzer there, going to bombard the Soviet positions here, can also cover the center, I believe. But overall, they need to hold this, and again, it would have been nice if Joe and actually probably attacked this, but now, of course, the enemy is too dark in, so they're going to need some severe firepower to get them out of there. Otherwise, a lot of smoke, a lot of assault troops to get in close and just bombard the entire thing. Either of two solutions, otherwise keep pressuring here, hold the 2 victory points, and keep Madass bleeding dry. That would be also a possible method, although nothing is covering this approach. There's not even a single machine gun, so if Reign of Darkness was to suddenly get a bright idea and attack through here, could actually capture the entire force right here behind it and cut down a lot on the retreat. So Joe is not really thinking ahead, or at least, you know, considering the fact that he's got a huge enemy force pointing straight at his flank. I mean, that really should be factoring into his plans, but clearly it isn't, which is another, what should we say, strategic failure, not again considering the fact, oh hey, there's a huge enemy army parked on the hill covering my flank. I've got my entire force disposed to be cut off if he attacks through there. You know, keep in mind of those things. But for the Russians, it's all about, you know, in fact, charging down here, taking this, doing a lot of damage to this, hopefully wiping out as much of Joe's things, leaving Dan behind, and then of course charging down and wiping him out. Of course, they don't know about the howitzer yet, but usually you don't wait long until you begin firing that thing after you get it. So it's not going to be a surprise for much longer. And of course, they need to push through here, and then of course, Madass needs to push through here. They also need to set up several fuel caches, get some fuel up, get some tanks, get some AC-5s, and just charge through, for heaven's sake. Attack. They're playing way too passively than is good for themselves. And of course, Dan with the howitzers might of course do some work, but still he might also want to continue applying some pressure, getting some tanks. For heaven's sake, we're also doing good, and the same here for Joe, but he's likely going to get some soon. And of course, he's either going assault support or joint strike tactics, considering we saw an officer from him who seems to be dead, which, well, I suppose fits again in with the Monday Novice team of not really preserving units. Well, but at least he's using smoke, sometimes successfully, sometimes you just have to go, why did the Marlboro man pay you to smoke? Anyways, back to the fight. More mortars, more cartons being shifted up here, and again the force is building up. We're really seeing here that Reign of Darkness is just building a considerable force in his assault zone right here, as it is known, or build-up zone, whatever. I mean, we're seeing several infantry squads, mortars, machine guns, a tank destroyer. If he attacks, I mean, again, he's going to be able to do a lot of damage to Joe. And again, it's Joe who's currently the most exposed, and Joe's only got a field gun as anti-tank defense, and that's pointing currently in the most wrong direction as possible. Bit of wire there, not going to. And there we go, howitzer up.
Artillery ready.
There's no doubt our tanks are better. We'll run out of petrol and ammunition before we kill all them.
And there we go. Oh no! I mean, if a single howitzer shot was to fire here, that would be game over. Don't blob up, for heaven's sake, particularly not with that huge force. If your opponent spots this with artillery, even a mortar, and there we go. Looks like some sort of recon run is on the move, which could actually mean spearhead. Oh no, they couldn't. Just checking. Yes, we are in fact seeing joint strike. In fact, we're seeing this huge force spotted. Will the howitzer fire? We're seeing a Panther out. mean, this is just bait for the artillery. I mean, Christ, if he gets this last command post there for sector to this, really, he could just wipe this out. Mortars firing away. Howitzer needs to point. Come on, Dan. React. There's a huge force moving in. Huge assault. Dan. Feuer frei, du dummer Schwein. Field gun sending up Panther Ryan from the outside. It's moving straight in front of the entire force. Oh, we do see the H-85 taking a lot of damage, but we could have been anti-tank grenade get buttoned. That was extremely risky right there from Joe. Field gun still not. Oh, finally. Dan reacting to this, but the H-85 is down. And Madass continuing to get more mortars. Again, lobbing up. Not really a high tactical play from both players. And Howitzer's firing away. First shot fails to connect. And there we go. 7 men down with a single shot. More losses are being inflicted. Soon we'll see squads wiped out. Come on. Reign of Madass is finally spreading out. But he's still losing men again. He's much too small a zone to be clubbed up in. Another Panther arrives now. The other Panther has been suffering a bit. And there we go. Squad wiped out. And the thing with the howitzer of the German ones is it fires quite a bit, and it is also more accurate than the Soviet howitzer. It doesn't do as much damage though. Heavy mortars firing away, though not close enough to actually hit the howitzer. We are seeing that Madass is advancing up there. We have seen that Joe has been completely forced back. We're seeing a Pack 43 going up from Joe. Panzer Brigade is digging in with support from some other units, I imagine. Generally, a Panzer Brigade would not really have access to these sort of things, I think, at least not the Pack 43. Again, the MNF what might be available. Mortars doing heavy damage to the Soviet infantry. A second howitzer going in. Russians need to keep moving. Smoke going down. Does this mean an attack, or is he just throwing in smoke because he can? And there we go. Pack 43 set up. Panzer Abwehrkanone. And there we go. Howitzer firing. Second howitzer also setting up by the looks of it. This has become a killing zone, ladies and gentlemen. Hitting the mortars. Well, he's trying to get them. Heavy mortar crew desperately dodging the high explosive shells. Guard squad taking losses. Pack 43 blasting away. Actually getting a few infantry kills. Assault going in there. Aircraft flying around, spotting targets. But it's a massacre. Over to Joe. This looks like, oh dear. Soviet mortars firing away, clearing out the field gun. This has turned into an artillery duel, but it's clear in this case for once the Soviets have been outmatched. Usually they were the ones with the most artillery ever. A bit insane, but again, that's what you get with these novices when they play so statically. They favour artillery more than anything else. It's sort of World War I strategy applied here to a World War II game, which is a bit sad.
Panzer 4 command tanks can now be deployed.
The T-34 from Reignofdarkness. Veterans 1 here. Mortars firing down. Bridge close to collapse. In fact, it has collapsed. T-34 went down. Howitzer's firing away here, trying to catch the mortars.
Reconnaissance flight set.
18 kills already on the initial howitzer. Mortars going down. Officer inspiring the Panther to fire faster and be more accurate. Mortar nearby. No attempt at attacking through here to try and catch the howitzers, of course, but again, that's what happens when you play passively. Your opponent gets artillery and bombs the snot out of you. Smoke popping in there. Could this be the part of an assault? Come on. Mortar crews retreating that way. Come on, attack if you're going to use smoke. Heaven's sake.
Mortar team is being assaulted. Yeah?
Panzer here.
Officer reporting.
Russians are still holding on to the centre, but it's a bit tenuous at the moment. More infantry being fed into the kill zone.
A new Grenadier squad is ready.
And looks like the howitzer is about to give another showing. And he's actually digging in with sandbags. The madness. No enemy howitzers. Lieber. He's insistent on digging in like that, despite the losses being inflicted on him. Well, that can't be described as anything but sheer madness. As entire squads are wiped out. It looks like the Pack 43 though went down to mortar fire. The crew is dead. The gun is still standing though for now. Looks like both players are going to launch armoured assaults from far sides. I wonder if there'll be more artillery to hit the centre in the meanwhile, keeping the Soviets occupied. Howitzers being pushed forwards. Being blasted. Smoke going down in the advance. That's good. So again, keep moving, keep moving. Don't stop up. Going to hit the flank here with 2 tanks. Oh dear. If the howitzers begin firing there, yeah, that's not going to be a pretty sight unless you're German. Looks like, oh, he's gotten within range with the heavy mortars. He's really intent on bombarding. He wants those howitzers out. And now there we go. Firing straight into the horde of infantry. Causing huge losses as we see the heavy mortars trying to knock out that howitzer. Squads getting wiped out on retreat. Tanks not even supporting the assault. Come on. Popping over to Madass, who's barely got anything left. More smoke to neutralise any weapons. Officer inspiring the nearby units, even the Panther, well done. Firing faster and again being more accurate. The Katyusha called in, but again I would believe that is too late. Still a very slow assault, still no real movement, still no real speed, no panache, no daring, no dash.
We're under attack!
You need engineers?
Enemy Alpha. Engineers.
There we go, even the heavy howitzers are now forced to retreat.
Enemy armor.
And the entire front has crumbled for the Soviets.
He is redeemed in blood, comrades!
Points being secured.
They see us!
You need screening troops! You're taking lethal fire!
And howitzers have begun bombarding the enemy base, setting fuel tanks on fire.
Enemy fire!
Guards troops
Oh
ready for
dear.
action.
Very close to getting that 23 with that howitzer.
Taking losses!
Guard squad almost wiped out there for Madass.
The enemy is attacking our HQ.
Still no attempt at securing that point up there. Come on, gentlemen, get moving. Again, Joe, for some reason, just stopping up completely, not doing anything. Again, the poor habit, poor idea. Not sure why he's building up a bunker right there. Really a lot of odd ideas from those two. I think again from all four, I would say.
Lost the comrade! We are ready!
Our command post is under assault.
What?
Veterans is on the Panzer 4.
200 artillery is falling into enemy hands.
We are losing men! Tank! Don't give it a target!
Just going to speed this up since there's pretty much nothing left. No chance of a comeback from this, I would say. And there we go, in fact. Game over, a loss to the Soviet Union. The 16th Tank Corps was beaten, and it basically came down to, again, inactivity and a lack of speed from both players. In the end, though, it was rather the Soviets, again, who lacked the most speed, the most daring. Despite, in fact, being the aggressive faction, they played incredibly defensive, which rather made it easier for the Germans once they got the howitzers to pretty much shoot them to tiny bits and pieces. In fact, the howitzers here looks to have been close to being securing altogether 100 kills. That really shouldn't be happening. So really, some poor strategic play by the Soviets, lack of aggression, lack of cohesion. They tend to operate very far from each other, lack of, and also just floating so many resources. I mean, there were no fuel caches built. I mean, at least in that sense, the Germans, while still having some of the same problems, actually built caches. They actually secured themselves additional resources, and again, that never happened. But there was also the lack of unit preservation for the Soviets, also having blobbing up, making them that much more easier for any sort of artillery to wipe out. And again, just so many flaws that pretty much just cripple themselves utterly. You might as well just surrender within the first few minutes of the game. Again, though, the Germans were not without the flaws again. They also set about doing nothing much. They exposed their flanks quite severely. Russian units, no sense of unit preservation, also to a certain extent lack of coordination, leaving Joe, for example, to a certain extent doing everything, and then he suddenly had to do nothing, and then he did everything, and again sort of switch. Also initial aggression in taking this place, which could have saved them a lot of pain as well. I mean, lots of odd things. Really, you know, lack of activity, lack of strategy, lack of tactics. But again, ultimately it was the Soviets, which was greater, again just flooding so many resources one stage. Absolutely mind-boggling. So there you go. Hope you learned something from this match. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why not subscribe, tell your friends. If you didn't, well, why not send a replay of your own. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.